There was a specific moment in my second playthrough of Nier Automata that caught my attention and made me think in a way I never thought a game could. Honestly, all throughout my first playthrough of Nier, I was kind of thinking I overall knew how this world worked pretty well. The moment in question, though, kind of turned this on its head, and that moment is the first scene in your second playthrough of the game. The player is presented with a mechanical voice squealing the words "brother" in dismay. When the black screen fades, we see one robot standing over another that has presumably deceased. We are forced to play as this robot as it searches for gasoline to pour over its dead brother in an effort to bring it back to life. And you take control of this robot too, so you get a feel of how slow and clunky its movements are, and you genuinely feel bad for it. The saddest part of the whole ordeal is that the robot believes its efforts will be rewarded. However, they are not. After this heart-wrenching moment, a moment you as the player got to contribute to, it is revealed that 9S has been watching the robot the entire time. However, even after witnessing a moment of undeniable humanity and emotion, 9S responds with an unsettlingly selfish response.
Brother. Doesn't matter how much oil you give him, little guy. You can't make a machine your brother.
This remark not only startled me, but it kind of somewhat appalled me. All throughout the entirety of 2B's playthrough, 9S was always presented to be so emotive, a character that I could relate to and understand. 9S as a being always seemed to be searching for this validation. He wanted to be unique and expressive despite the entire world seemingly attempting to suppress that. However, he invalidates a robot for doing the same exact thing he is so guilty of, exhibiting emotion. 9S technically isn't even human at all. He is an android. He's 100% artificial and not natural, just like the robots he's devaluing. However, the very first words uttered out of 9S's mouth in his own emotionally traumatic adventure that we as the player get to witness, ironically not only devalue, but devalidate another being's attempts at existence. He continues throughout the game reassuring 2B that the machines they are slaughtering indeed don't feel any true emotion. But if 9S is an artificial form of life, much like the robots, how can his distinction be reliable at all? Who is to say that 9S's emotions are more justified or valid than the robots? And what exactly even is valid emotion in the world of Nier Automata?
Their speech doesn't mean anything. They're just emitting words at random. If they wanted help, why would they be attacking us?
Yeah.
Interestingly, in Nier Automata's world, we're constantly reassured that robots don't actually have any true feelings because of their artificiality. This is an idea I found pretty odd all throughout the entirety of Nier Automata, but especially at the beginning. I think the first time you can truly question this statement is when you first go to the amusement park. You see all these robots enjoying themselves and living out a life where they want to be happy. Not to mention Bouvier, the boss fight. Even on 9S's playthrough, we learn the humanity of this boss and how they turned to cannibalism to try to get validated by the man they loved. Until this point, robots certainly have exhibited emotion. They seem to be portraying it in this really strange and abstract way. However, soon enough, this gets laid to rest. Interestingly enough, our next destination is actually Pascal's village. In this village, we see so many robots who not only are trying to live out normal daily lives, but celebrate the emotion that they can now feel with this freedom they find. In Pascal's village, the robots are actually encouraged to exercise their emotion, to form families, to make friends, to engage in hobbies. This is what makes Pascal's village such an interesting and emotionally driven place. However, later on, this emotion becomes too much of a burden for the robots to hold. This is shown when you play as A2, and A2 helps Pascal evacuate his village and bring the children to the factory. However, on Pascal's return to the village, he finds a terrifying reality has taken place. All the children have committed suicide. Why? Because they were fearful. Because Pascal taught them the emotion of fear. Pascal blames the loss of his entire village off the validity of one single emotion. While this is a sad end for the children, the decision the player makes next is possibly even harder. Pascal asks you to kill him. He no longer can deal with all the pain and suffering he has endured. Now the player is forced to make a decision. Do you put an end to Pascal's endless cycle of suffering that machines are simply doomed to replicate? Do you respect his final wish and effectively rob him of the only thing he now has, the ability to feel? Or do you walk away, leaving him to his own devices? This is the harsh reality of emotion we are forced to face in Nier. The relationship between 9S and 2B is possibly the most heartbreaking I've ever witnessed in any game. 9S is a being who constantly is fighting for 2B's attention and love, but due to their tragic circumstances and 2B's true purpose, this just cannot happen. It is revealed that 2B's true purpose in life is to kill 9S, and because of that, she kills him over and over and over and becomes traumatized that her purpose is to murder the person whom she loves so much. It is truly so heartbreaking to watch, maybe the most so in the first playthrough. Throughout the entire game, 2B had been cold and callous to 9S, never truly accepting his emotions at all. However, after she once again fulfills her purpose, she absolutely breaks down and cries.
It always ends like this.
It always ends like this. This is the first time we realize that the relationship between the two is absolutely emotionally driven and far more complex than we think at the time. Now, one thing I feel I have to note, and is really important, is the overtly sexual way that 2B sits on top of 9S and then chokes him. At first we may brush it off the chance, but in 9S's playthrough, we get this complete bombshell. Holy shit. Now, I just want to say, this moment absolutely obliterated my mind. I sat on my couch with my jaw on the floor. Now, honestly, there's a large debate within the Nier Automata community on what this actually means. Many think the blacked out word is fuck, and many think it is kill. Although personally, I'm kinda leaning toward the former for a couple reasons. Hear me out. It is established that 9S most likely understands 2B's model is 2E, long before he is told.
Please, 2B. I want you to do this for me.
Honestly, if you look at the way he says this, he seems fairly self-aware. He says he wants 2B to do it for him in a way that almost seems like he's aware that this has happened so many times before, even when he should not be aware of that fact. Also, I see no reason for 9S to even want to kill 2B at this point in the story, because interestingly enough, 9S does indeed want to kill 2B at some point.
I'm glad I got to see you here. I truly am. I'll tear you apart. Every last one of you!
Holy cow, this is a complete doozy to unpack, but let's get started. It is actually established earlier in the story that a chemical of, and I quote, pleasure is released in the androids whenever they are forced to kill. Now, I'm not going to put these pieces together for you, but think about the extra meaning the ending of Route A now holds with this knowledge. Love is pain, and killing is pleasure. Whether they want to be or not, 2B and 9S are forever linked. Their relationship is linked through the pleasure found in pain. With that knowledge, 9S saying this actually makes some sense.
2B! 2B! Don't worry, I'm going to kill you now!
The ending of Nier Automata is really quite interesting because in a game that is ultimately very emotionally based in the characters, finally the player is allowed to make a decision. This decision being who to side with, A2 or 9S. At this point, we've seen the trials and struggles of both characters, and choosing one seems like an almost unfathomable decision. The entire game, these characters have emoted. Now, it's our turn as the player. We must emote and tell the game who we believe is right. Even after all this struggle though, the E ending of Nier Automata ends with a largely intriguing twist. In this route, the seemingly emotionless pod units that had followed the androids the entire adventure reveal themselves to have capacity for emotion. In acknowledging this, they aim to bring back the data of both 2B and 9S's personas so they can continue living. Everything in Nier Automata's world has shown that it can emote. And after all of this, it is finally the player's turn to show off their emotion. And that is exactly what the E ending of Nier Automata makes you do. It makes you, if nothing else, fight for your own emotions. And if that isn't powerful, then I don't know what is. And that is all I have to say today, folks. Thanks for watching my video on Nier Automata. I felt that a lot of people who were doing video essays on this game didn't touch upon this theme of emotion, and it was something that I really wanted to do here. Now, this is my very first video essay. I'm very, very new to this. I have been watching a lot of video essay channels for a while, but this is really something that is new to me, and I really wanted to try it. I do know some of the video and audio quality isn't the best, although I will be trying to remedy that in the future. So if you have any other suggestions at all, just please let me know, because I really do want to improve at this. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the flip side. Instagram, I do have an Instagram. I cosplay on there. I do cosplay Best Boy 9S, so make sure to check that in the description. And I also have a Twitter as well. So check those out. Have a happy rest of the day, guys.